Hi, welcome to episode 151 of the PassioKnit Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me as Schnüffeltier on Ravelry and Instagram, and as the PassioKnit Spinner on Patreon. There is a Ravelry group for the podcast. Please come over and join if you are able to. And if not, keep in touch with me on Instagram, where I announce new episodes and VKNs and everything as well. So you will not, miss anything really. I'm sorry I'm sounding a bit weird. I do have a bad head cold right now, but I also have half an hour to myself in this house. So it's either now or never with the podcast. So I decided to just sit down. And today I'm only going to talk about the knitting. There's not going to be anything else, just the knitting. So let's get started. I'm not wearing hand knits because it's too warm. We had the wood oven going before and it's just too warm right now. But I have something finished. I finished a pair of socks and they are Christmas socks. They look like this. The yarn that I used is from Hobby, which is a European-based crafty online shop, I think. And they have a lot of glitter in them, as you can see. I think they turn out super nice. And the thing with these socks, they are for me. In the Black Friday sale at Hobby, I decided to get their Christmas collections. They have 6 skeins in total of Christmas yarn, and you could get them either as single skeins or in 2 different sets of 3. And I got both sets of 3 and just picked the first skein of yarn and knit it up. And this is the leftover that I have. And I got this yarn in and started my sock the next day and cast it and finished the second sock 2 days later at breakfast. So I knit these super fast. So this was the yarn. I still have the needles in. They're Clover, 2.75 millimeters. And this is the yarn that I used. It's the Christmas sock wool by Hobby. And I do have the other 5 skeins, of course, because I got both sets of 3. And I intend to make more of them. So yeah, this is my first sock. It's a German size 38, which is my foot size. And I knit them 64 stitches top down on US 2s like I always knit my socks. Slip stitch heel and traditional heel flap and gusset sock. They are amazing. The yarn, of course, because it is that kind of glitter in it, is a bit scratchy because that is just not a soft thing to have in your yarn. But I knew that beforehand, so I don't have a problem with these. I think they turned out really nice. And I want to use the leftover to knit a pair of children's socks for my charity box. So that is the one thing I have done. And then I have some things to show that I have started and one thing you've seen before. So the thing you've seen before is the sweater, the Brioche sweater that I'm knitting. Okay, just a cat. So this is the front now. I finished the back of the sweater. I'm going to show that in a second. It is a full-on brioche stitch sweater that's going to be a hoodie, hopefully, if I have the yarn. And the pattern is from a Rebecca magazine, which is a Swiss knitting magazine, I think. And it is this one here. You're supposed to hold 2 strands of mohair double, but I decided to use just yarns from my stash. So I'm holding 3 lace weights together for it. And like I said, the back is done. Oh, I cannot show you the back because I took it out of my knitting bag because it was just getting in the way of my skeins. So yeah, this is, like I said, the front, and I like it. I'm just, like I said, not sure if I will have enough yarn. So I either have to sacrifice the sleeves or the hood, and I'm not sure yet which one. So I'm gonna finish the front and then I'll just decide on what I want more, a hood or sleeves. I mean, the sleeves are only half length anyways, so I'm not sure. So now, the thing you have seen before, but it's been a while, is a pair of socks. I have dug out my Advent socks from last year. Wait, I'm gonna put them on a blocker. So I knit the Advent socks by Natalie Sheldon last year, and I love them. They have different patterns. You're supposed to knit 12 patterns per sock, so you know you're done on the 25th. And I did that, but my problem was that the last pattern that you're supposed to knit was way too long, so my socks would have been way too big, so I shortened it, and it was until here. And then I put those on after they were done, and they were way too long still. So I put them away. I dug them out again on December 1st this year, took out the toe, took out most of the pattern, and put in the toe again, and now they're a bit too short. So I'm gonna have to do that again. Take out the toe, pick up the stitches here, and knit. I'm just gonna knit this in a zigzag back here in this direction for the 3 rounds that I had done before. So I hope those 3 rounds will be enough. So yeah, this was the first sock. I finished that one last year. And I am currently working on the second sock, and I'm almost at the heel. So I am here. I need one more pattern. This one here, the check pattern, the plaid, and then I can put in the heel yarn. Her pattern is written in a way where you can use these interchangeable just the way you want, but I did them as a pattern is written because I wanted to have 2 equal socks, you know, I wanted them to be the same. And also she changes background colors. You're supposed to use a bunch of leftovers, and I'm using leftovers. But for the background, I'm using a skein of Regia Solid 4-ply, and decided to do it like this because I just like that better. So yeah, I'm working on these. They're super fun. I'm really happy I decided to take them back up. Not super happy that I have to take out the toe again, but I mean, if I'm working on these for so long and it's a lot of work, there's a million ends to weave in the end, they might as well be perfect. So I'm gonna have to suck it up and just do another round of surgery on my sock. So yeah, I'm doing that. And my enjoyment of these socks made me decide to knit another colorwork sock project. And this one is a pair of slippers, actually. The pattern is by Kate Davis, and they're called Bealdy, and they look like this. And she uses her own yarn, and it's a DK weight. Now, DK weight, I do not have a whole lot of it. If I do, it's a sweater's worth, or it's a super crazy hand-dyed yarn that I cannot really pair with anything for colorwork. So what I decided to do was use fingering weight double, which usually works out. And it is working out, and it is looking great, but my gauge is weird. So the pattern calls for a gauge of 24 stitches and 31 rows for a 4x4 inch square. And I have 23.5 stitches, which is very close, but 26 rows, which is not very close. So I have to fudge a bit, which is fine. So this is the first slipper. They look gigantic, but actually I put them on over normal socks, you know, hand-knit socks yesterday. And as slippers, they fit fine. So I'm happy with that part. I'm also happy with the color work. I think this might be the most even color work I've done so far. So this is the front, and this is the back. I start at the heel, and this is where my problems start because my row gauge is so off. And I didn't factor that in before. You should start the heel 7 centimeters before you hit, you know, the total length of your slipper. So for me, total length needs to be about 24.5 to 25 centimeters. So I started my heel at 18, which would be, you know, 7 less. But because of my row gauge is so off, I'm almost at the point where I have hit those 7 centimeters, but I still have to do way more increases according to the pattern. So I have 2 options now, and I'm gonna probably have to do both. So option number 1 is just do the heel turn with less stitches, which will then equal in a not as wide instep, which isn't a problem because they are big enough already. And if that doesn't work, I'm gonna have to rip back until probably here and start the heel again here. So I'm gonna try turning it with, you know, the way less stitches increased and make it shorter, the heel itself. But like I said, as it is already wide enough to go over my instep, I think it's not a problem. I'm just gonna try. I never do toe-up socks, and this is why. They never ever fit me. So now the yarn. All of the yarn I'm using is leftovers from different sweater projects. So I'm gonna show you. These two are not the same. This is hand dyed from my friend Erin, and I used this held double to knit a hat for my husband for Christmas 2 years ago, I say. This one here is Lana Grossa, something with linen. And I used that in my first whatever sweater, and I also used it for a pair of socks for contrast heels and toes. So this has been in 2 projects already this year, and I'm holding these 2 together for the actual pattern. The background color, oops, is this one here. They are bigger leftovers. They are Zauberball skeins from Shoppelwolle, and I use these to knit my super simple summer sweater by Joji Locatelli that I did last year. And I had quite big skeins left over, so that's the background colors. And for the toe and later the cuff, I'm using these 2, also leftovers. I used that orange as the pattern color for my Hogwarts sweater with the owls. And this one here was one of the colors for my festive doodle that I did this year. So I'm using all leftovers, and I have a second set of these for the other sock. Which makes me very happy, because using up leftovers just is so nice when you have that stuff in so many projects. Like with this one here, it's the 3rd project I can think of from the top of my head, and I just think those colors are so amazing. They're also so very me, because they're autumnal, and I love autumn, and I love orange and brown and green, and so yeah, they're perfect. And like I said, my color work is great, I have to say. I'm just very proud of these. If I can get them to fit, even better, because I cannot make them big enough for my husband, because for sure the green contrast colors will not be enough for that. So this has to be for me, and I think I can make it work. But you know, look at this, it's so perfect. So yeah, that is this project. I started these like 3 or 4 days ago, and I've been knitting in the evening while watching Good Girls. So, and then I have 3 more projects to share, and they're basically the same. So in here, in this big basket, I have yarn for 3 sweaters, and they're all 3 Flax Lights by Tinka Knits. I'm using that pattern, and I'm knitting a sweater for everyone in my family. One for Tim, one for my husband, and one for me. So the one that I'm furthest is the one for Tim. I'm using this yarn here, which is Opal sock yarn, and I have 2 skeins. So this is the yarn. I had those in my stash, and I decided that Lastas, Loki, hey, Loki. He's scratching the door, and it's a wooden door, and I don't like it. So I've decided to knit a sweater for Tim out of these 2 skeins right now, because first of all, 2 skeins won't be enough for much longer. And also, this looks kind of wintry to me. I'm not sure why. It's kind of a bit of Christmas with a bit of black. So yeah, this is what I have gotten so far. Like I said, I'm doing the Flax Light. Loki! I need to find something that will not hurt him, that I can throw at him. Hey! So, I'm using the Flax Light pattern. I will not do the garter stitch on the sleeves. I'm just going to do it as a plain stockinette sweater. And for my... Okay, I have to do something. Hörst du jetzt auf? Schluss! Sorry, but he is scratching the wooden door, and it's not good. So, again, these sweaters. For my son and my husband, I will not do shorter shaping to bring the back higher, because it's just easier for them to put on that way. I'm gonna throw this so he can play. Hey, play. So yeah, no short row shaping for the boys, but I will do short row shaping for mine. So this is the one that I have made for Tim. I am knitting them on 3.5 millimeter needles and 2.75 millimeters for the cuffs. And I did a folded cuff for the neckline because I just think that that is just so much nicer. So this is Tim's. It started. I started doing the raglan increases. I think this is going to be amazing. The next one I can show you is mine, and I'm using that Hobby Christmas yarn that I just showed socks in, but in a different colorway. So when I got those skeins in my mail, I fell in love with this one, which is the only one without the white. And I am knitting myself a dress out of that. So I got my one skein, of course, in my sets, decided to do a dress, ordered 5 more skeins, and then started knitting the dress with the skein I already had. But of course, the dye lot is different. So I have broken off the yarn. So I'm going to use the skein that I already had for all the cuffs on this dress and the other 5 skeins for the actual dress. Again, I did a folded neckline and I knit this together. There's no sewing involved in here. So I'm not very far. As you can see, I just did the neckline and then I stopped. So this one here is on Knit Pro Basics, which I really actually like. And this one here is the pony needles that I have, which are the longest needle tips ever, which I also quite like. So these are the first 2. And then the one for my husband, he chose these, the yarn for himself. I guided him, of course. I love using this yarn. So this is Schoppelwolle Alplino, which is a Southern German merino, which is sourced locally to Schoppelwolle, and a French organic linen. And I love using this yarn. It is one of my absolute favorites. So I decided if I have to knit, if I want to knit a sweater on, in fingering weight for my husband, who is not small. He is very tall, he has broad shoulders, I might as well use my favorite yarn. So I showed him the yarn, I said, pick a color, and he chose this dark navy, which is beautiful. It's also dark navy, but could have been worse. And I'm not that far in. I just started the neckline. I still have to knit quite a bit more so I can fold it, knit it together. And then I have to decide if I want to use a 3.5 millimeter needle for this one as well, or if I go up to a 3.75. Because this is a bit plumper yarn, I think it could be better. But I ordered 7 skeins of this, and I really hope, I'm pretty sure it's enough. So yeah, this is happening. I'm knitting 3 flex lights for everyone in the family. And that is the knitting I have to show to you today. Like I said, I'm going to do a different short episode with all the spinning because there is a lot of it. And in that, I'm also going to talk about reading, listening, watching, and that stuff because I don't have more time today to do anything else. For everything else, the only thing I want to say is the next VKN is next Saturday. That is the... it's not tomorrow, so it's not the 12th. So it's the 19th? Yes? I think so. So next weekend, Saturday, 19th of December. I will announce it on Instagram again, and I will pop a link and the info in the Ravelry group as well. And there's not going to be mental health talk because, first of all, I don't have time. Second of all, there's a lot going on and my mental health is quite bad right now, but I don't want to put that on the internet because I'm just, some things I don't want to share. But just so you know, I'm good. My family is great. The people that live in my house with me are amazing. So what else could I wish for? So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful time. I hopefully will talk to you again a few times before Christmas. Oh, one thing. Last weekend was my 6th podcast anniversary. I started podcasting when I was pregnant with Tim, and he is 5. So that way I can not really ever forget how old my podcast is. So yeah, we just celebrated 6 years doing this. If you've been here from the beginning, thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. And if you're new, I hope you will stay for the next 6 years. If this is gonna stay on for another 6 years, who knows? So I hope you all have a wonderful time. Enjoy Advent, and I'll see you soon. Bye.